Okay? And you must, so this story is motivational for all of you. ये मोटिवेशनल स्टोरी है, इसमें से हमको सीखना है, शिक्षा लेना है, आगे बढ़ने के लिए, राइट? इसी के साथ साथ हम लोग इस 11 o'clock के बाद, ओके, गुड. सो आई कैन कंप्लीट it 1 hour.
Yes.
Okay, and I apply in 1 hour, but please do feel free in case somebody wants to leave. I would not mind. Okay, and you can even come back again. I would not mind if you come with a cup of coffee or with an apple. I would not mind. Okay, because our interest, these are secondary things. They are not. They are trivial things. Our main purpose is that we remain connected with our brains. Okay, good. So because I thought I should first copy it in my hands, and since morning I didn't even have a chance to have it. So I thought maybe I try to awaken myself. Okay, then I come to one of the very loving topics. The topic that I suggested to Luis was understanding the fundamental forces of nature. You could as well make it fundamental laws of nature. I tell you a very little thing, which is from relativity, in general relativity. So, principle of says strong equivalence principle, weak equivalence. These are two. Weak equivalence principle, strong. All of you must be knowing it. Gravitational mass and inertial mass, that they are the same and very invariant and very simple, right? But so these two different statements, weak principle and strong, what difference are two? One talks about that the laws of motion remain invariant under uniform motion, and one says laws of nature remain invariant under uniform motion. See, so laws of nature is a little bit wider thing than laws of motion. So it is in the same sense, so weak and strong equality, or this principle, you can look at these are very standard terms. So in that sense, I have said that understanding the fundamental forces of nature, you could take as a weak statement, and if you want fundamental forces of fundamental laws of nature, it would be strong. Right. But keeping it weak is always better on the safer side, because laws of nature can be can be from many branches of science, okay, not necessarily. But when you say physical, then you think, okay, physical sciences, then physics, then something. So it becomes a little more specific. Okay, that's what. So now I just pick up this banner. I will not drop it, but I just to tell you that if I drop it, it will go to the ground. It will fall down. Very simple. Now every evening we find the moon sailing in the sky. You find you watch sunshine, moon sailing in the sky. All this. Now you see, these two are vastly different happenings, vastly different phenomena, but they are governed by the same fundamental law of nature. Very simple. Everybody knows Newton's law of gravitation. हर बच्चा 9th क्लास में जानता है. Mass m1 m2 by r square is the force between the two objects with mass m1, right? So, but these two phenomena are governed by the same law. This is important to notice. They are governed by the same law. Right? Even in my student days, we used to play play with magnets. तो एक मैग्नेट लेंगे, एक पीस ऑफ पेपर लेंगे, आयरन कॉइल्स डालेंगे, मैग्नेट जैसे घुमाएंगे. So different shapes would be formed. Right? This is what all children do for the academic games. So electricity, forces of electricity and forces of magnetism. People thought they were two different things. But it turned out that they were not different. They were two different aspects of the same phenomenon called the electromagnetism. We have been हमारे एक साथ में बोले electronics and communications, right? Electronics and yes, Professor Yadav, right? Yes. Electronics and communication. See, देखिए, so two different aspects. Forces of electricity and magnetism. They are governed by the same law, electromagnetism. This great guy, James Clerk Maxwell, he wrote down these Maxwell's equations more than 150 years ago. And that was actually the birth of field theory. Because electrodynamics is the best field theory that is known in nature till date. And he wrote them down long ago. तो ये जो फंडामेंटल लॉज है, अब आप देखिए in Maxwell's equations, almost all of us, even the students, know Maxwell's equations. And one of them talks about Faraday's law, one of them talks about Ampere's law, right? Versus divergence, versus law of divergence in electrostatics and in electrostatics, right? And so, but they were put together in a beautiful form, Maxwell's equations. Okay? And then you gradually learn also about the Lorentz transformations. I think also at a very early stage you know, you consider x, y, z frame and x prime, y prime, z prime. One is moving with respect to the other, with the uniform respectively, along let us say x direction or some direction. And then you correlate these coordinates, x prime equal to x minus y, and so on. So you write four different equations which describe Lorentz transformations. Now when you go a little bit further, then you introduce the concept of covariance. And you write down the Maxwell's equations, four of them, two of them in one equation, two of them another equation. dμ is equal to G. So this contains two equations. And similarly, it's dual, that contains another. If you use the language of differential geometry, you can put these two also into one equation. So then there is one equation. This can be split into two, and those two would be split into again two, so there will be four equations. I remember I just want to sandwich my talk with a few little examples to motivate younger people like me. I remember something like 10 years ago, there was a girl from Bangalore. I have never met her so far. She was very keenly interested how to write four Maxwell's equations in that covariant form, how to begin with covariant form, how to write them down in the component form, the way we studied them in our first year. And because she was very curious, so I spent some time talking to her on the phone and through email. In those days, the social media was still, I don't think 10 years, but I may be alone by a couple of years, okay? So, but she was very keen and eventually she learned it. So I sent her some pages from here and there, I sent her some of my notes and explained the and this is how you get to this form. So this is a good exercise irrespective of whether you do engineering or this branch or this branch, does not matter. Just academic games. Pick up some Maxwell's equations. Even these days it's much simpler. You write it in Google and you get it everything there. Then you write it, okay, so what is that new, what is the new? And then you start learning how to put it in the component form, the way we have learned it in first year. Okay? Or taking those first year equations and putting them in the covariant form. Do we want to do that? See, this is a very fundamental law, that all the fundamental laws of physics have to be covariant. What it means? That they are invariant under Lorentz transformation. Lorentz transformations, they describe relativistic invariance. So they do not change their shape, okay? Or they retain, so the law retains its form in all the frames in which we study. So therefore, and therefore this is very important. And how do we learn about it? It introduces some kind of covariant notations. In Delhi University, we have recently explicitly written a term there in the first year syllabus, mathematical physics, index notation. So, right, if you want to write that I have a vector R which has components x, y, z, then I write vector R equal to iota times x plus a times y plus a times z. But if I, instead of x, y, z, if I call them x1, x2, x3, then I have the option also to call x4, x5, x10, xn. Then I can talk in terms of an n-dimensional space. So without telling, when you see from childhood, you start noticing small things. And then as you grow, you discover, oh, it's not really like that. I didn't know this. This even now, you see, these things we keep talking to ourselves. Oh, I didn't know this. This should be like this. Now,